G'day and welcome to the Grow a Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Trewin. Each week, we speak with an owner who has grown a business with 5 to 30 team members to something bigger. Diving into their numbers and unearthing the pain they've experienced, we explore what they did to overcome each barrier and what they would do differently from day one. Let's get into it. Welcome everyone. Today I'm interviewing Barbara Wardell and Ernesto Cullari from Cullari Wardell, based in Jersey Shore, USA. Thanks for your time, guys.
Hey, Troy.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Getting over a cold here in wintry Tasmania in Australia. So as we're talking about before we hit record, but makes hardy winters makes for a better spring and summer.
That's true. Get a lot of growth.
Yeah. Let's start with how we know each other. Olivia from Kitcast has sent us quite a few great guests over the years. So she put us in touch. Thought you'd be great for our audience.
Yeah, she's excellent. We love them.
And tell our audience a bit about your business, what it does and how it makes money.
Oh, go ahead.
So we are Cullari and Wardell. It's a geofencing ad agency. And we use satellites to draw virtual fences around areas of interest. So say you're a restaurant and you have 10 surrounding competitors within, say 10 miles. We draw virtual fences around your competition, and then we capture all the mobile devices in those locations. We anonymize that device, and then we can send those people ads to come to your restaurant. But the amazing thing is unlike other walled gardens like Facebook and Google, when these customers then show up at your restaurant or your place of business, the satellite pings us, alerting us that a new visit has taken place. So in the US, Canada, and Australia, we serve about 5,000 satellite verified GPS verified visits per month. And importantly, for your audience in Australia, we are the only known provider of geofencing in your whole country, with the exception of law enforcement during COVID. The Australian government, we didn't actually plan on talking about this, but now that we're thinking about our clients in Australia and talking to you, Troy, the Australian government spied on its citizens during COVID to make sure that they weren't sitting on a beach somewhere in Tasmania getting all that fresh air and vitamin D. And then they would use this technology to basically arrest you or fine you. And yes, so we use this technology benevolently. We use it to serve you ads for things that you're interested in. So I'm single. I like women that go to hot yoga.
We're on the hot yoga thing again.
So, if I were to put together a singles profile for myself and wanted to send my singles profile to the lovely ladies of hot yoga, I could use GPS-based satellites to do that. And then when we showed up at, say, a steakhouse together, my favorite steakhouse or Japanese restaurant, again, we could track a new date or a new satellite GPS verified visit.
Wow, both a scary and very interesting business that you have there.
It is anonymized, so we don't know your name. So it just gives it identifier. So, not as creepy.
So what ads are you putting in front of these people? They're not text-based ads. Are they like you just geo-targeting the Facebook ads, for example?
It could be, no. So we can use social media posts. So we can send that to your browser in your feed as you're reading a news story, like an advertorial. So we can take a Facebook post and put it natively in the middle of a news story, but that's just one of many ways to do it. We can use TV, so we can use a connected TV. So if you have a subscription to Hulu, we can use this technology to send it to your home. They can be display ads, which are like HTML5 ads that run at the top, the middle, or the bottom of your browser or an application. And then sometimes, you can do text, but for the most part, we do moving HTML5, large native ads, or TV ads. And we use those to target people in a bespoke way. So again, it's most effective when we're targeting people that would have an affinity for your service.
Wow. And I'm guessing because it's so targeted, it must be highly effective then.
So if you can imagine, we're a small company, we're under 12 people. And, to do 5,000 satellite verified visits a month across 3 countries is highly efficient. and we're doing large numbers on small ad budgets. So that's the most important part. Coming from a background of marketing and advertising, and Barbara and I both come from a medical marketing background. There's not a lot you can get for, say, $1,000 a month in terms of ad spend. But the impact, specifically if you know the value of a new client or a new customer, or even a repeat customer, for $1,000 can have great impact. We have some clients where one client to them is worth $40,000. So that's a magnificent return on ad spend.
Yeah, absolutely. And are there any industries you mainly work with?
Well, Barbara can answer that.
We do HVAC, restaurants, boutiques, laundromats, anything brick and mortar, and even websites we can do because we can drive traffic to the websites. We've launched electrical
Mezcal, our favorite brand of alcohol, Electrical Mezcal, made in Oaxaca.
Exactly. And also we've done real estate management to get places rented. So there's a lot of verticals that we can use this technology to grow.
And how did you start out?
So Barbara and I both came from a medical background years and years ago. And I guess it was 2015, I decided that to get real down to the nitty-gritty, I had a patient with necrotizing fasciitis near the groin. So if you know what that is, it can kill a patient. It's flesh-eating disease. So the surgeon and I saved this woman's life by accidentally. We didn't realize we had to do this only in the operating room. We did this bedside. So she was sick. We applied this product bedside. It saved her life. Next thing you know, I have materials management, my boss calling me, you screwed up, you weren't supposed to do it. The hospital probably won't want to pay. And I got pissed. I'm like, we just saved this woman's friggin' life, and it was by accident. I didn't realize that we couldn't do a bedside. So long story short, they fired me. And I was like, I will never work for the man again. I will never work for a hospital system. I will never work for another major medical company ever again. And at the time, I was a former songwriter with songs on Disney and country radio, and I was breaking into photography, and I was like, I'm going to do this full time. So I started managing Instagram accounts and providing them content. So fast forward to COVID-19, and it was really eating into my business, all these lockdowns. So I looked at what would drive foot traffic, and geofencing was that technology. And I happened to run into Barbara at a Halloween party. I thought she was a beautiful lady.
You're dressed in full makeup.
So I took her phone from her so I can add myself
onto my Facebook. And he accepted it.
Of course, I had to accept. If I could take her phone and add myself on Facebook, I have to at least accept. So we became fast friends. And then when she wanted to open a business, I recommended. I was like, hey, well, what I'm doing here is cutting edge, but I can't run this company by myself. I'm never going to grow. I'm gonna, eventually it's gonna burn me out, or I'm gonna just, run the company into the ground, because one person can't do everything. So we partnered, and immediately we doubled our revenue, literally overnight, and then the rest is history.
Yeah, I broke down the company. I made a lot of changes. We started a collaboration of a company together, and I was still working. He was working it full time. We had a part that literally some of our platforms weren't working properly in the beginning, and we shut down everything, didn't charge one of our customers, figured it all out. It was right before the new year that year, and we were only in business only 6 months. So we got it all together. Starting in that January, we had everything put together, and just been growing ever since.
Yeah, it was tough, actually, that period where it taught us not to put all of our technology eggs in one basket. And she's right. We told people to hold off. We're not going to charge you.
No, and I literally made sure that I was supplying the money and making sure that we were taken care of, but we would not. We paused everything, and we would not charge it, and not even to put it onto the new system. We took all that on our own to make sure that we were doing the right thing.
And then since then, we developed our own technology so that we're not reliant
Oh,
on third party, data suppliers and things like that. We have our own proprietary targeting system that if there's any agencies out there, dealing with demand side platforms, which is basically the big flea market that allows you access to sell your ads, or rather bid to place your ads on different websites. Our technology enables us to do whatever we do, regardless of what company's in business or out of business. We're able to, or providing data that's up to date or not, we're able to be nimble and swiftly move on to the next platform because we are agnostic to platform and we're using our own data to help on behalf of our clients.
And so what year did you start the company and how old were you both?
I started the company, I guess, just before the start of COVID in terms of learning geofencing and focusing only on that, getting away from Facebook advertising.
it was
So
during
that
COVID.
was, no, it was during
Yeah, because that's why you started it
2020.
into 2021.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So it was around that time. And then, so this is our 4th year, but this is our 2nd year together. I
Yeah.
don't know. I can't count.
Yeah, we're going on 2 years
Yeah. Oh,
together.
Yeah,
Yes.
this month. Sorry,
Yes.
this month. Yeah.
Yes.
It's been rapid. It's been rapid change. And because we travel light, Barbara and I are the only owners of the company. We have 2 main full-time employees that deal with us directly every day. And I would say the other 6, 7, or 8 it's basically they're contractually obligated to provide service and data for us, but we don't pay their health insurance. So our business is perfectly scalable. If we added 100 customers tonight, 100 new clients tonight, then our data provider is obligated to provide even a larger team for us, if you will.
Yep. And so how old were you both 4 years ago when the business started?
I don't even know how old I am now. I'm 52. I guess I was 48, 47.
Yes, you were 48.
Yeah. You could tell I'm a bachelor. I have no perception of time, money, or age. I'm like, people get old? What are those people doing? They're so crazy. And I have no children, which is why I'm wrinkle-free.
Yes, this is true. He has
It's-
no obligations except himself.
It's hard to run a company and take risks, by the way. And by the way, I would have loved to have been married already and have kids, but we're able to take greater risks because I don't have children. I'm able to go with, a smaller paycheck 1 week because, and we paid ourselves from day one, by the way.
That's good.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have 2 children. They're older though. 2 boys, 24 and 29.
Oh, great. And do you have some
Yeah.
key numbers you can share to illustrate the growth of the business?
We actually doubled our growth from our start.
And then we doubled once again. So oddly, our main method of communication is we have specialized in certain niches, certain industries. So we upended the American laundry industry. And actually now we're in Australia, upending the entire laundry industry in Australia. So what I mean by that is no one except for the Chipotles of the world is using this technology. Chipotle, Burger King, major corporations are using this technology. So our model has been able to bring this down to size for small business owners, and that has allowed us to double our size more than once. And it's because we are not trying to be a jack of all trades. We are not an agency that tries to service your every need. We're really not interested in anything other than delivering you foot traffic. And any tool at our disposal, we will use that tool. But here we are, the only provider of this service in Australia. And we've upended multiple industries, namely starting with the laundry industry.
And that's why we invested so much into our systems, and we're growing them as we grow, like the dashboard and everything else that we've been putting into place, because reinvesting in our company helps our customers as well as we grow at the same time.
So you're pretty accurate then on attribution. You can clearly say from this $1,000 spend, you acquired 10 new customers that month.
So yeah, I'll go into that because I spend most of the time in the data and the custody of a visit. So in the universe of foot traffic, when we draw virtual fences around buildings, there's something called the natural converter. That is basically the entire population of people we're targeting. That person, because there's an art and craft to geofencing, because we've targeted them along the pathway to your store, there's a high degree of probability that over the years, this person might come to your store eventually, right? Geofencing simply puts an ad in front of them. So that first number is called the natural converter. They could come to your store. The natural converter, there's a number every month. It fluctuates of how many people in the total universe came to your store without ever seeing an ad. However, because we're able to give your mobile device a unique identifier that keeps your privacy intact, we know that if you received an ad and then showed up, because we've anonymized you. But not only that, then we know the number of repeat visits that you made. So the custody of a visit also can be drawn to what geofence sent you that visit, on what day and time did it occur, what ad did they see, what size ad did they see, and what app or website they were on, or what TV show were they watching when they saw your ad. So I'm not really aware, well, there isn't really any other form of advertising quite like this, but I think because it's so data intensive, that the average advertising company struggles to find someone that is put in their 10,000 hours of mastering this technology. While on the other hand, it's not hard to find someone that can run your Google ads, probably do it yourself. It's not as hard to find someone to run Facebook ads. You could do it yourself. Where those verticals become challenging is obviously you need to create great content to be usable on those platforms. But in our instance, we can show the custody of every visit and all the ways that they're associated with your visit.
Yeah, so I mean, in the digital marketing age, one of the benefits is there is a lot of data, but I think attribution is still a hard thing to nail down. It's so important, especially if you've got something where you can easily track your lifetime value to customer acquisition cost ratio, which is highly important. So yeah, if you guys can, guarantee that data that you can say this is what your customer acquisition cost was, that's going to be very powerful in your marketing.
Our average across 3 countries is $6 and under.
Wow, that's awesome.
And it's satellite verified. So that's the information we get. We can't change those
Yeah,
numbers.
that's great. I'm just thinking of a few businesses I work with now. I'm going to put you in touch with right after this call. And so, Ernesto, you started on your own. How many full-time equivalents would you say you've got now? Is it the 12 or some of those are part-time?
So it really depends on the month and our workload. As I said, our business model is set up where our data providers are obligated contractually to provide enough service providers so that caseload can be managed. I'll give an example. So say we took on 10 new clients today. On the demand side platform, they're obligated because the way our contract is set up, that if we need 2 or 3 more technologists, we do all the ad creatives ourselves as well. But all those data entry people and all those data scientists that need to be kept on staff, that's not our responsibility. So we were very fortunate enough that since I started this myself and knew I couldn't do everything, I knew I had to partner with companies that demand side platforms like Taboola, for example, that would provide the support staff for me.
Yep. Okay. So how many would you say now full-time?
I would say we about 10 or 12.
Yeah, great.
And there's a handful of people we have not met, and that's mainly what we would call ad ops people. And those are people like statisticians that are looking at our reporting and then following our algorithm. We have a set algorithm about how to remove data points. And those data points would be geofences, how to remove those geofences because they're underperforming and how to do that in real time. So they're obligated to do that. It requires a human being going in there and doing it, even though there's an algorithm setting the rules for when they're supposed to do it.
When was the moment you felt like you had succeeded?
I would say when Barbara became my partner, I was like, yeah, like finally, like someone else sees what I see. And again, I think it's hard for like, you know, you and your colleagues and people that you work with, data means a lot to you. And trying to explain that to clients and the value of certain things, it's when you're doing all that yourself, it's challenging. So Barbara came along, obviously, having a marketing and sales background, and she saw what I was doing and she was alarmed, but at the same time,
It was a lot of data, a lot of data. And when I realized how much data, I was like, whoa, wait a second, because I thought it was this and then it was this. And I was like, okay. And I put it down and I was like, all right, they're not giving it back to us because they never give back anything that they take. So what good can we do with it? And we figured this is what we're going to do with it to make these businesses that we love so much that got hurt during COVID and closed. We wanted to be able to make sure that our small businesses had a foundation to grow again.
What does success look like to you?
To me, success is helping people succeed and then I grow. That's how I look at it.
Number one thing you'd recommend to marketing a fast-growing business?
I would say you're going to work really hard. So make sure that you enjoy and love what you're doing because it will take a lot of time and you have to balance your life with it and make it part of your life. Like you have to integrate it. It's not a 9 to 5 job. And you don't want it to be a 9 to 5 job because if it was a 9 to 5 job, you're working for somebody else again and you don't want that. So you have to integrate it. And we've done a really good job, Ernesto and I, of integrating it. Like when we do a podcast or we're working really in the evenings, we go out to dinner. We sit down afterwards. We talk about things.
Stop problems with tequila.
But we've made it so that, yes, we're working hard, but the environment is always that we're having fun, and it's important because this is like our baby, right? I have older boys now. This is our baby. And the way to grow it, and I told Ernesto when we first started, the foundation has to be really, really strong. And from there we can grow. And as long as we're doing the right thing for our customers, because when we started, we were word of mouth. We didn't have one advertisement out there. We did nothing. We were word of mouth and we were growing until we were asked to get on a podcast. And that podcast grew us even more because one of our clients actually went on to a podcast and recommended us. And from there,
They were living in there. Remind them they were how we got on there, why we were asked to get on there.
So he was there telling everyone how he was finally making about I think it was $40,000 a month. And he was telling his story. Now, we didn't know his full story when he called us, but listening to the podcast, because one of our clients called us and said, you have to listen to this podcast because you guys were mentioned on it. It was great. So we listened to it and he literally was living in his laundromat when he called us. He was like some kind of a hedge fund or some type of job like that. And he bought the laundromat and then a storm happened. There was so much and he was just tight on money. So he ended up basically living in his laundromat. And he called us and came up with the money. I didn't even know. Like, we didn't know. And he paid every month and his business was growing. Even the strip mall that he was in, we're like, how is this traffic coming into the strip mall? Like, what are you doing? And he told them, and and we got inquiries right away. And he sold it and made a ton of money on it. So I love to hear those stories because it shows that we're doing the right thing to help our clients. And our thing is, if they grow, we grow. And the dollars, it's like thank you notes to me.
Would you say that's your primary marketing method that's working best for you at the moment is not being on podcasts?
I would say media. Yeah, we were on iHeartRadio recently. Getting on podcasts and educating the world that you don't need to live on traditional media like cable, newspaper, direct mail. Those are all good and beneficial. You don't need to live in these walled gardens like Facebook and Google, although they're highly beneficial. What we're doing is definitely game changing, and therefore we end up getting booked on a ton of different podcasts. I think in the last few months we've been on at least 20, 21 different podcasts. And the first one that we were ever on, we've been on, I think, twice. So
And that was like the second one was a Q&A, and they came on and they were asking us tons of questions and wondering, about our business and kind of what they can do. And we gave them a lot of good advice, not only just using us, but because we believe that you should use all forms of advertising.
And adhere to good advertising fundamentals. So there's things that Ogilvy taught. I would consider Ogilvy sort of like an invisible, mentor of mine. Confessions of a Madman, or Adman. But that's what started the Madman
Yeah.
series.
I've read that book.
But
It's a great book.
Yeah.
Except ironically, there's one spelling error in there. He spells desert. That really, yeah, really.
Maybe he was eating in the desert. You don't know.
That's interesting. You have a good eye that you caught that. And by the way, it's been in reprint so long, I'm surprised they haven't fixed it.
I think it was this old book. Yeah, I got somewhere. Yeah.
I'll give you something from that book that I already know you'll agree with. So Ogilvy said that if you advertise in long form, even with a lot of words, people will consume it. And he made an example. He did a study, and I believe it was in the New York Times. It took out a full page ad that was only text. And that campaign was a major success. It definitely drove sales. The analog to that is the podcast. So people want long form edutainment, entertainment, and information. And they're willing to be patient and they're willing to indulge in it. And the more, the better. And that is one of the principles that Ogilvy espoused. And I would say that if you're not, there are two kinds of agencies out there. There are the creative agency and there's the digital agency. The digital agency is creatively anemic, and they're completely incapable of creating anything worthy of beauty. Then you have all the people that graduated with degrees in graphic design. They make beautiful websites. That's more like self-gratification. It does nothing for the client. Unless you're marrying the best creative technique to the great, to really good, solid technology and database and data-driven applications. If you don't marry those two, that is not a formula for success. So what I would like to say is if you could do both, then you have a winning combination. And if you could do both in alignment with geofencing, you're light years ahead.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Words are so powerful and much more than design. A lot of owners, small business owners and marketers, put too much weight on the design of a website, or whereas they go short on the copy. And I love that adage that there's no such thing as long copy or copy that's too long, just boring copy. And Ogilvy was bang on. And one of his quotes was, for every dollar of advertising, you spend 80 cents in the headline. So because only 20% of people will go on to read the rest of the article. But so important to invest in becoming or using good copywriters once you've got your positioning and your messaging right, of course. And back on podcasts, it's such an underrepresented medium at the moment. There's 3.1 million podcasts out there at the moment, only about 400,000 that are pretty much active. But 6 times more content is consumed on podcasts than audiobooks. And obviously audiobooks are getting bigger than physical books and even Kindles. And Australians actually per capita are the highest podcast consumers in the world. 40% of adults will listen to at least one episode a week, and 10% listen to 6 or 7. So it's a huge opportunity for marketing at the moment, I think, for businesses. How did you fund the business?
So that's a darn good question. I started the business with referrals going in. So a friend of mine owned a digital ad agency, and so this is how Barbara was right. It was during COVID. He was like, and I was mainly based doing commercial photography and Instagram, building organic large pages on Instagram in niche followers. So, for example, Hint Beauty, the original Soup Man, which is AKA the Soup Nazi from Seinfeld, 1/1, Otaru Baby. These are all like, niches that needed their Instagrams grown and needed original photography. So, Charles Measley, who owned another agency, said, you really need to master this technology. So I walked into it with no money other than the money I had been losing, because of COVID and all these businesses deciding they didn't want to do social media. So I really walked into this with a referral base, and I had to get right to it. And they were willing to give me a 90 days to proof of life, proof of concept. And my first month, I sent my customer 76 satellite verified visits. By my 90th day, I sent them 746 visits. So I really obsessed over learning the necessary processes and developing based on a persona or buying persona, developing an algorithm for how to quickly. And I think Instagram sort of taught before Meta destroyed it. I think we took the best practices for what we were doing with Instagram and applied it to geofencing. And I think that's how we were rapidly able to learn.
Yeah, fantastic. If you were to start up today with plenty of funding, would you go into your industry?
What do you think, Barbara?
Absolutely, yes.
Sounds so fun and interesting and such a unique way to market. I love it.
It's different, and the bigger corporations were using it, so we know it works. Chipotle used it during COVID, and that was for their pickup service for them to pick it up, their food, and it rose their business. And so we took it and we said we had to figure out the formula that would work for a small budget for our small businesses. And we did really well figuring that out and how we impact that area. And we offer exclusivity to our customers so that within a certain radius, that way we're not going against each other like a lot of marketing companies do. We just don't do that. And we decided that our code of ethics when we started the company, as well as how we were going to run it. And I think starting out with that is very important because then you have a blueprint of how you want. Now, there's always things that you have to tweak and learn from as you're growing, of course, right? Because we don't know what the next corner is going to be, but we started out with a really good base.
I feel that this technology and this methodology, this tactic of advertising and communication is so powerful and unique. I wouldn't want to do anything else. I personally feel I was always mad. I'm like, how do these brilliant people, these crazy people who first got into Bitcoin when Bitcoin was like a dollar, $75 for a Satoshi, whatever. I was like, I always wanted to be like them. I missed my mark and I was always mad about that. Now, and by the way, how many skeptical people were there about Bitcoin, right? And for years and years and years, people were skeptical. Now there's people like Lacey Hunt. These are America's biggest economists. Chris Smith, uh, Harry Dent. They're all talking about Bitcoin and the power of Bitcoin. Well, I'm as bullish on geofencing as they were and came to be about Bitcoin. I know and I feel very strongly that this is the future of advertising. And there's so many skeptics. I love it. I love it because they're going to have fear, and fear is a powerful force in any market, whether it's financial markets or technology markets. And I feel very strongly that since there's such fear about it and uncertainty and unknown about it on their end, that for people like Barbara and myself and you, we're going to ride this Bitcoin train. In this case, it's a geofencing train into the future. So
I think it was good because we got it in the beginning and we learned it to a point that we can grow any size business. It's not even a small business we could grow. And I think that's important because we started at the right time. And yes, there is skeptics out there. And yes, people are scared. Oh my God, they're tracking you. They're always going to track you.
except we're not spying on your microphone on your phone, and then when you pick it up, you're going to get an ad later for some geofencing provider out there because your phone is spying on you. I had a news story. I don't know how much time we have left, but really quick. So I was reading a news story earlier today. This is in the Asbury Park Press, which is a big Jersey Shore newspaper, and it says Stop and Shop, which is the second largest grocer in our region, second most profitable grocer in our region, is closing down all these locations. And when I looked at 2 of the 8 locations that they were closing, what were they closing down? They were closing down 2 grocery stores where the average income is 80,000 US dollars a year. Plus, both stores are supported by additional seasonal traffic during the summer, compounded with all the New Yorkers moving to New Jersey. And I said to myself, I said to Barbara, this is a very, I probably would fire their head of sales. They probably stuck to the same old radio buy, newspaper buy, direct mail. But I guess I'm going to tell you one thing because I never got a phone call from them. I'm going to say that they neglected geofencing. And for as little as $1,000 a month, we could have been sending them 100 new customers a month. And when you figure out that groceries, just one bag of groceries is 75 US dollars on average, 75 and up.
That's a small grocery bag.
A very small grocery
right
bag,
now.
right? I mean, the average bag. So if a family of 4 requires 6 grocery bags, then you're looking at so they would have paid for their ad spend if they had just called us and had us run 1 month of campaigns for them. They could have used this technology instead of closing these stores, which are in high income areas. So I'm a maximalist when it comes to geofencing. I only wish I had gotten in on Bitcoin as early as we got in on geofencing, and I'm glad we did.
Can you outline the most stressful point in your small business growth journey so our audience can learn from it?
I think that was when our platform wasn't tracking smart Apple phones.
Our data provider
Yes,
was not.
that was scary, and that's when we shut down everything because I was not going to let our customers pay for advertising that wasn't being effective in any way. So we literally shut them down for like 2 months until we figured out everything. Some stuck with us, some left, but then some came back.
My greatest daily stressor is when clients don't read reports. I think when people get a spreadsheet in front of them with, all these data points, they become overwhelmed and their eyes glass over and they probably ignore that. Well, we have spent a fortune in
yes.
curating the most actionable data possible. So I get a little pissed off. I get a little stressed. Sometimes I yell at customers for their ignorance and for not paying attention. This is stuff that sets you apart from your competition. This is the information that if I were to show your competition your report, they probably have you whacked. That's Jersey Shore for killed.
And we do geofence your competition. We slay them. So yes, the whack part.
What area in business do you feel you've had to work on the most to add the greatest value?
I think the data part, our system. I think that gives a really good value to our clients, and able to get into the dashboard and look at their reports and see exactly what they're doing.
So I immediately thought geographic area, not an area of our systems, our policies, our ethos, our practices. There are certain parts of the country and certain parts of the world which are very challenging. We find in parts of Australia, things could, people will travel 15 to 20 miles to go to a store, whereas in the United States, if you're not within 1 to 3 miles
You ain't
people aren't
going.
showing up, But in the Pacific Northwest, it is spread out like it would be in certain parts of Australia, where it is normal to have to try, in this case in the Pacific Northwest, drive over a body of water, drive over or around a mountain. And I think applying our methodologies to diverse geographies has been somewhat of a challenge. Yeah, so I would say it doesn't keep me up at night because we haven't encountered too many challenges like that, but it certainly has been a stressor for us.
What have you enjoyed the least about managing fast growth?
I don't know. The least? What do you think?
What I've enjoyed the least. I don't because we don't have our business model is not set up to have to hire more people. I think we're able to grow and it's all good. I wanted to say gravy, but that sounded a little insane. But it's more.
I mean, we do have like little things, but nothing that. I mean, it's not like when I was in the specialty medicines or you were in, no, honestly,
When your business is dependent on hiring the right talent, that would be a problem. If you can set your business up where, I'll give you an example. Restaurants were able to scale their business by partnering with Grubhub and Uber Eats. You can argue the fairness or the
they
unfairness
take
of
30%.
right. Another conversation. You can
Yes.
argue the fairness or the unfairness of these agreements. Nonetheless, they're able to sell 30% more food, some of these locations, because they partnered with companies that provide their workforce. We have partnered with technology companies that it's their job to go hire a data technician. I could take my business with Barbara. We could take it to one of 12 demand side platforms. So we have it set up where the data provider is contractually obligated that when we grow, they need to give us more staff. And we let them know that if we're not happy, I have an email right here where they're giving me a credit to give me money to go advertise for free on another platform. So we're very fortunate. And if you can mimic that model, I would highly recommend it because the worst thing you want to do is to be left hanging out to dry because you're unable to hire the right talent.
Yeah.
So we also do a lot of hiring campaigns for labor in the US, skilled labor like roofers, heating, ventilation, air conditioning companies, medical companies. We've done human trials. We used other platforms to do that. But yeah, so it's another application for geofencing. But whatever you do, don't be reliant on other people for your business.
What do you love most about growing a small business?
I think I love it the most is because we get to run it the way we want to run it with our values, and we're not handcuffed by the man to say, we're not handcuffed anymore. We were in the medical industry and my doctors could not do some of the things that they needed to do for that patient. And it frustrated me to no end. And here we get to do what we want and run the business the way we want. And I think that's the most rewarding part of being in your own business.
I love everything we do. We're probably going to be a weird subjects to talk about. A lot of people can be frustrated by the economy and things like that, and we feel that too, which is why we're doing what we're doing. We're in a recessionary, whether people know this or not. I mean, when real estate prices just to buy a home and your rents are doubling, and the price of groceries and gas is up by 30-40%, we feel that stress too. We're human beings, right? But the joy of what we're doing is we're offering some solutions. So I actually like every aspect of what we do. We've also handed off the tedious things that we have to do onto other people. We tell them like, hey, that's your job. It's not mine. I own the company, but this is why you exist. You exist to do that job, not me. So
He
my
just
job
likes to go for the long way around the ocean when we go to drive
is true.
somewhere.
Her pet peeve is when we work together and we drive somewhere. I like to drive along the ocean, even if it adds a half hour, even a half hour into my drive. I like it. So that's the only thing Barbara doesn't like.
I do sometimes, but not when we have things to do. I'm more of we got this to do. We got this to do.
Right. But for the most part, I mean, I really enjoy what we're doing. We're helping people. And I didn't always feel in my life when I had jobs, I felt like I was doing what I was told to do, but I didn't always feel like I was doing what made other people sleep better at night or solve the problem for them. Even in medicine, I was doing what materials management told me to do. And thank God, I flipped the bird. I said, after they fired me, I was like, I'm never going back to this crappy industry. So,
What has been the biggest mindset shift for you in your small business growth journey?
I would say probably the mindset that we're going forward and matter what happens, we're going to keep moving forward with our values, matter if the outside is a little crazy.
so contradictory to what I just said about not wanting to do things and handing that off to people whose job it really is, I've had to tell myself multiple times, even if I don't want to do it, if this must be done, I'm going to happily do it. I'm not going to I'll
You
complain
mean
to
you're not going to bang on a desk and be like,
Right.
I can't do this right now? No, you're going to do it.
I'm going to do it.
Just going to do it.
I'm not going to make, I'm not
It's
going to.
mindset, people.
The mindset shift for me is, if
Mindset.
it has to be done, this is my company. It's Barbara's company. And for our sake, I'm going to happily do it because I want the end result to be success for the client. And it's a vain desire. I want my client to do well. You know why? Get that nice pat on the back. I get that nice recurring income, and I feel great about myself because I made them feel great by putting more money in their pocket.
The number one habit you think a small business owner needs to develop and maintain?
Do you mean other than stimulants like cocaine and coffee? No, I'm kidding. Don't do cocaine or coffee, especially not together. I don't do either. I do coffee, but
You love your coffee.
I do love coffee. I drink about a pot a day.
I drink enough to kill an elephant in the morning.
Oh my gosh. I can't. If I have one cup, it's got to be before 12 p.m. Otherwise, I'm done. I won't be able to sleep. I don't know how you guys can do it. He could drink it in the evening.
That is true.
I can't do that.
You too, I guess.
No.
No?
No.
So how much coffee do you drink? The time frame?
Oh, I have about 4 black coffees in the morning. And then I'll be out taking the dogs to the dog park and get an almond latte. But one of my companies in Melbourne, early 2000s, I think it was, one of my business partners loves his coffee. So I went and got a really nice coffee machine. And just out of habit, I was having 12 espressos a day.
Oh gosh. I would have been like this.
Yeah, I know when to stop though. It sounds like you're in the zone and you're zoning out. You're having another coffee.
He has another one. He's like, he's zoning in, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm staying away from him. Let me go do my work.
Our way of working though is a natural way that keeps us motivated and stimulated and going. You know, we both like sailing, yachting, eating good food.
We do.
And
yes, we do.
They don't call you Babs the Diva for nothing. But you know, and by the way, you don't have to be a millionaire to go yachting, and you just you know, you manage it, you know, just like you manage everything else.
Yeah, your priorities of what you like to do and what you don't like to do. We all have hobbies, right?
Yeah.
No, you definitely have to make your way down to Tasmania then. There's a lot of great sailing here out in the Derwent River out to the ocean, and amazing seafood and restaurants and fine wine and whiskey. There's about 100 distilleries.
Sounds perfect.
It
sounds like a Cullari Wardell out in the field kind of business trip.
So yeah, Tasmania is the epicenter of Australian craft distilling. There's about 600 or 700 in Australia. 100 of those are in Tassie. So we've got, what have we got? 2% of the population and 15% of the distillery. So yeah, a lot of great spirit.
I love it.
Oh, wow.
And craft beer.
Okay. See, that was on my bucket list, but now I know where.
I'll send you I've got a document on Tasmania, where to stay, eat and sleep. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. We'd appreciate that.
So number one habit you think an owner needs to develop and maintain apart from drinking a shit ton of coffee?
Number one habit I would say is consistency. We have a schedule that we send each other. Basically, I send it. It's not. I'm not a control freak. I'm just simply sharing what 10 items we probably need to tackle. And Barbara actually writes things down on paper. She has her equivalent, which is or not really on paper.
I have a board.
It's a big giant board.
I have it on my computer too, but I I don't know. I just like it right in front of me. I have this big board. I have all my customers. I know what the dates. I write notes. Yes, I do.
And it's a habit. That is our daily, we work the board and we work our agenda, and that's our daily habit. In the absence of that, you're going to get lost. She actually did curse at me earlier today because I told her, if you don't go in this one particular system and look at it every now and then, you're not going to be able to confirm certain things. That's what I do on my end, right? That's my habit. I have an
overview, so I don't have to go in there, but sometimes it's not updated.
overview, schmoverview. But
Yeah.
we do have these systems in place, and it's consistency. Every person listening to this podcast right now, they're already successful because they're educating themselves, obviously. They desire to be more successful. Habits are, in my opinion, my humble opinion,
Number one.
the best way to continue to go in the direction you want. Have good, repeatable habits. And in our case, an agenda, a big, board like Barbara has that looks like she's an NFL coach.
I drawn it, everything. Yeah. I have a nice flow charts on my computer too, but that's just my thing. I really still do that. I have Trello and I have all the boards, but an actual board, I have two actually.
I would also say we're in the habit, we live in a materialistic world where people think that the world is just things. Barbara and I are Christians. We believe in Jesus. We ask God for help all the time. So so we're fancy non-materialists. We like nice things, but we ask God for help all the time.
Yeah, we don't think we do everything ourselves.
We're not. We're pair of idiots. We're just
idiots.
Successful idiots.
At least we're doing well.
Yeah, we're two idiots doing really well.
And I think too is you have to set time to clear your mind so you're not stressed during the day. I think meditation is really good besides prayer. It sets the tone for your day, and I think you're more calmer, that you can handle situations that come up because every day something comes up. It's always this wave, right? Some days it's just nice and flat, and other days you got these waves and you're like, I just got through this. Do I have to tackle this today too? But you do it. You have to go with a mindset of positiveness, because if you're not, you're going to take it and make that area not so good and not get through it as fast. I found that with a positive mind frame, you get through things a lot faster.
Are you a small business owner who is ready to take your professional growth to the next level? Sign up to the Grow a Small Business Weekly newsletter. This is your go-to email every Friday and will take about 2 minutes to read. Join the Grow a Small Business community who, like you, are investing in their professional development. Each week, we curate valuable resources, whether it's expert advice, books, podcasts, industry insights, or actionable strategies. We've got you covered. Leave your email at growasmallbusiness.com/weekly. Can you talk to how you've added people to the team, some wins, mistakes, and advice for those listening?
I think our wins are when we see the reports and see that we're making a difference in our customers' lives, and seeing those numbers from month one when they start their campaign to the next, to the 90-day campaign, and we see it grow. I think that is huge for us. That's a win. That shows us that we're doing the right things and we're doing the right targeting and our geofences are working. And when we have a hard campaign that we're not sure right away what's going on, it could be the terrain, and which we found out that was part of it. We work really hard to figure that out so that we can get a win out of that. And we have conquered a lot. We, like when we first went to Australia, that was a whole new realm for us.
Australia?
Yeah, we didn't live there.
Oh, you mean first started geofencing in Australia?
Yeah.
I was like, you sneak it out on when I'm not paying attention to take trips to Australia? You mean when we first started geofencing?
Oh, sorry. When we first started
geofencing in Australia.
But
Yeah.
what about adding people to the team? So any wins, mistakes, and advice there?
Far as people?
I'll answer that.
Okay.
So we're contemplating right now whether we take on another partner, for example. And so that would be growing the nucleus, right? Growing the nucleus of our team. So, we look at it like everything else. Will this person be as dedicated as us? We're asking tough questions. I think in growing, it's important not to be greedy. Barbara and I are not greedy about money at all. We think it's tasteless. We obviously love what money can do for our lives, but it doesn't run our lives. So in looking at a new partner, I think we're looking in terms of growing in that way, we're looking for someone who is just as passionate and crazy about what we're doing as we are. On the other hand, we are never in a rush to grow our team, if you will. We're not looking to hire more people full time. We are looking for teammates, but not permanent. It's like me. I'm a bachelor. I'm not in a rush to have 12 kids, right? I don't want more responsibility. What I want is more collaborators. And then, and the way our business is set up is it's more collaborative than a burden of, say, hiring new people.
What are some of the things you recommend to building a sustainable and kick-ass culture to help with the growth?
Have fun. Make it fun. Do the things that you love together as a group. Do team building exercises. We go on a sailboat once in a while for a team exercise. We'll go to dinner. Do things, maybe take a hot yoga class, do things that you all love so that the bond is there and that it's building your trust and your respect for each other. It's really important.
Tell our audience how you've handled balance.
I think we handle balance very organically. It's kind of obvious to each other. The other person, Barbara's like, you need to go take a trip to Texas. One of my best buds lives down in Austin, Texas. So you kind of have to sense that about one another, and then to let your teammates know, hey, you need some balance here. There was one point where Barbara, she mentioned earlier, one of our technology providers didn't let us know that we weren't capturing Apple devices. So I was working 12 hours a day, changing creatives, just thinking fundamentally what's going on here.
He didn't have any idea why we weren't getting the numbers we were getting.
And I'm questioning them every day. And 90 days into it, they're like, by the way, we just solved that whole data problem. We're like, it's too late. You know what? Because we did so much homework. We found that there's many data providers out in the world and we don't need you. So,
and it was disheartening because we really, we trusted them. We talked to them every week. We were always in there. We're saying something's wrong and they weren't honest. And that was huge for us. And that's why we were like, no, we're going, because we're very loyal. So if you're working with us and we're doing really well, we're very loyal. But, they didn't tell us and this hurt our business. And we were like, nope, sorry. They tried to get us back and we were like, nope.
And how much professional development have you invested in yourselves?
Oh, a lot. Oh my gosh.
Tell them about the core women's.
Oh, so well, we do a couple things. A couple of the things that we do is my girlfriend has the Core Women's Network. It's about women connecting with women. It's about real networking, not just a hoopla. It's about really connecting and helping each other grow your businesses. We all support each other. And then we also do the Street Kids of the Philippines, which is a mission that Ernesto's mom does, that she's been there for 15 years. She's actually here. She's only here another week. She's only been here 5 times in the last 15 years because she's worked really hard and they got a piece of property and we've been doing a lot of fundraising for them because of the people, the churches that sent them over there. They're not as supporting them the way they should be supported. So she's been using her Social Security to support the whole group. So we took it on ourselves to start raising money and helping with that as well. What else?
So, personal development. I have mentors. My one mentor is Tony Perillo. He's a former international CFO of Sony. And then I have Damon DiCrescenzo. And they kind of keep me in the right mindset, giving me good advice, mentoring me, helping me stay focused, helping me establish healthy habits, develop certain critical thinking styles so that I wasn't born a technologist. None of us were. I was born around the 80s.
He's self-taught about a lot of stuff.
Yes. And we had to learn everything ourselves. So I'm always curious by these younger technology entrepreneurs. I'm always fascinated by the way they think. And so where some people might read about, which I also do, Civil War generals like Ulysses S. Grant and things like that. I look at young technologists. I try to analyze the way they think. Barbara's son Noah is one of our teammates, works full time, and helps formulate, at least informs my thinking. So, in terms of personal development, I think I have good mentors and I surround myself with people who know more than I do.
And have you had coaches along the way as well, or just informal mentors?
I've never had like a coach, but I would say, Tony and I, Tony, who's a former CFO of Sony, we would meet once a week and talk about business. And he would talk about his businesses where he invested in and his stocks and things like that. So it wasn't anything formal, it was more informal, but it was very consistent. And the same with my buddy Damon, who is founder of the Credit Pros in the US. They're like the highest regarded credit, what do you call it, credit repair company
Yep.
in the United States. So we're great friends, and again, very informal but very consistent. They were fascinated when we started doing geofencing, and so it was informal, consistent advice that I would get.
And do you have a board of directors or advisors?
We do not
No.
have a we do not. We're also questioning how we want to grow going forward. We have some proprietary stuff that's going to hit the industry within about a year's time. So we're looking at ourselves now and trying to do some self-assessment to see there's such thing as growing too much too fast, and then getting, especially with technology, and we don't want things to get out of hand, and we certainly don't want to lose control of the things that we've invested in creating, proprietarily speaking.
And we have some people now that we're discussing strategy of how to grow and where to go from that, especially on the tax end and everything else that you have as you grow. Because as you grow, there's more
Your tax obligations
responsibilities.
grow.
All right, guys, one of our final five questions. What do you think is the hardest thing in growing a small business?
I think if you don't have the right people that you're growing your business with, that's the hardest.
For me, I think, I had started this on my own. And I think the hardest part was I would tell my clients, if you bought me an Escalade a year, if you bought me a big SUV, the new Ford Bronco, if you bought me one every year, it would still not be payment enough for the amount of wealth I make you. And they would think I was joking around, but I was really serious. So my number one frustration starting out was not enough people knew what I was doing, and it became up to me to tell everybody what I was doing, and we haven't stopped.
Well,
We
no,
haven't
because
stopped.
we can't really advertise for ourselves because we have to explain what geofencing. Still, people don't know. If you look up on YouTube right now, geofencing, it's 3 years, 4 years back that these people tried to start explaining it, but never did anything with it. We're the only ones at this point
We're the only current educators
out there.
consistently out there. There are people advertising, but it's really one company advertising, but there's really no one educating the masses, the marketplace out there. It is something, whether you hire us or not, is going to be very, very beneficial because none of us are made of money. And it's a technology and a technique and a tactic that if you do it tastefully, if you do it in a bespoke manner, you really have the power with a little bit of money to grow your company, your business rapidly without wasting ad dollars.
And at this time in a life, it's very important to start growing it so that you can keep level. Because as the inflation goes up, your dollars go down.
Yeah. Favorite business book which has helped you the most?
Do you have one?
I I have tons of business ones, but the one that I love the most, and it's not a business book because I've read I just
Oh, you mean grow the Think Rich and
and grow. I've read all them, but my favorite, and it's not a business, but actually it does help me with business, is called the Wasabi Love. And that's appreciating every moment and just making sure that You're present and every moment counts.
Mine would be Confessions of an Ad Man. I still love that book. I love the color of the cover, red with almost black ink. I just love that book. There's another book, and I really forget it's called Growth Hacking, and I forget the gentleman's name, but it's where I learned topics like minimal viable product. So this is, I believe, going back to I think his book was out in 2000. I recall it being out that far back, 2015. But Confessions of an Ad Man, and then Growth Hacking. I want to say his name is Andrew something.
Yeah.
Or Andrew Alex, but those two books.
Any great podcasts or online learning tools you use for your own professional development?
The Servant Heart. What else?
I listen to a lot of the Sean Ryan show, and you wouldn't think it's really about business, but it really is. Sean Ryan, who's a former Navy SEAL, dealt with addiction. He dealt with PTSD, and he has people on as guests that have had similar struggles. And I find that these men who have gone to war, faced death, the death of their friends, and just the systematic way they go about helping themselves has benefited me in business. It's not like, I'm not going to go out there with a sniper's rifle and learn how to shoot like them, but it's very inspiring to see them deal with stress, put it into perspective, and go marching on. And I think as a business owner, it's important, beneficial.
One tool you'd recommend to help grow a small business?
I'm going to say, this is going to sound odd at first. If you own your business and you're the face of your business, then I think original content. And what I mean by that is, if you're a chef, it's not good enough to create great plates that no one will see. You need to get your phone out. You need to take photography. You need to eat it and explain why it's brilliant. So I think you need to be able to create really good content. You don't need to be Scorsese, but you need to be sincere. So if no matter where you are in your career, that's never going to hurt, to create genuine content for people to digest, where they can learn and be inspired by you.
Yeah.
I think making sure that you're a part of that growth and smile and show them who you are. Be authentic.
Finally, my favorite question. What would you tell yourself on day one of starting out?
I would say, don't try to do everything yourself. You're going to fail. You can't be great at everything. So in my case, I looked at Barbara's skill set and I was like, here's someone who's enthusiastic and smart, and looks do matter. The taller you are, the better looking you are, the more successful you are. So Barbara's not quite tall, but she's definitely, good looking. And you want people that are likable, approachable. So find people that are likable, approachable, have skills that you don't have, that are smarter than you in areas. Find them early, and then stay faithful to them, because the people that you grow with, if you're a good judge of character, like I like to think I am, then they're going to stick with you when things are tough, and they're going to love you 10 times more when things are great.
I think he's absolutely right on that. You have to have someone that you have to balance their strengths and your weaknesses. They have to be opposite, so that you go together as yin and yang. You can build a business the best way that way.
Yep, totally agree. Well, Barbara and Ernesto, thank you so much for your time today. I really enjoyed our chat. Very interesting and niched marketing method. I think you're out there helping a lot of businesses. $6 US per customer acquisition cost is amazing, and it looks like you've got a lot of growth ahead of you. So congratulations on your success so far, and thanks very much.
Thank you, and thank you for having us.
That's it. Thanks for listening. Please leave a review in iTunes or whatever platform you listen to us on. It means more small business owners will find our cast and help people with their business growth journey.